I will drill down a bit to creation and management of service principal profiles. The first thing you need to do is to enable a new Power BI tenant feature switch called Allow Service Principals to create and use profiles. Your Power BI tenant admin can do it in the Power BI admin portal, tenant settings, developer settings. As usual with the workspace-based separation, you also need to make sure that the following two feature switches are enabled as well. Allow service principals to use Power BI APIs, and create workspaces to allow our service principal profiles to create workspaces for customer tenants. Now here's the Profiles API. Our engineering team have introduced a new Profiles API which is used to create and manage service principal profiles. You can find the documentation for the Profiles API at the presented URL. A profile is basically a name with a GUID on it, and you can create, delete, get, and update it. So, how do you create a new customer tenant using a service principal profile? The first step is to execute an API call to create a new service principal profile with its display name. That first call is made under the identity of the parent service principal, but this is the only one. All the remaining Power BI REST API calls shown in the following list could be made under the identity of the service principal profile that has just been created. Create workspace, assign workspace to capacity, import PBIX, update dataset parameters, set credentials, and start refresh. That's basically what you need to do to create a new customer tenant, and you can do it for hundreds of thousands customer tenants using only one service principal. I'll demonstrate now the Upowns Data multi-tenant application developed by Ted Pattison, a principal PM in the Power BI Customer Advisory team and an industry-leading expert on developing with Power BI embedded analytics. The application demonstrates how to manage a multi-tenant environment for Power BI embedded using service principal profiles. You can find a link to the resources of this app in the Power BI Embedded Analytics resources slide at the end of this session deck. The design strategy used by the Upowns Data multi-tenant application optimizes calls to the Power BI REST API while also providing complete dataset and data source credential isolation at the customer tenant level. The design of the Upowns Data multi-tenant application makes it possible to scale upwards to manage an environment with up to and beyond hundreds of thousands customer tenants. The Upowns Data multi-tenant application provides a form which allows the user to create a new customer tenant. When using the application, you can enter the tenant name for a new customer and the details of the customer's database. Let's call the first one Aviv1. When you click the Create New Tenant button, the application responds by executing code which begins by creating a new service principal profile using the same name as the tenant name. After creating the service principal profile, the application then switches context and begins calling the Power BI REST API using that profile identity to create the new workspace and populate it with content. This application design maintains a one-to-one relationship between service principal profiles and customer tenant workspaces, which is what we recommend as best practice. Now I click the Onboard New Tenant button again to create a second customer tenant. Let's call it David1. Select Contoso Sales from the drop-down list for database name and create new tenants. You can see now that I have two customer tenants. When I click the Profiles link, I can examine each of the profiles that have been created. When I click on the Power BI Profiles link, the application calls the Get Profiles operation of the Power BI REST API to retrieve all the profiles that have been created by the application's service principal. Now that I've created two customer tenants, I can access their content by navigating back to the tenants page and clicking on the View button for a specific tenant on the tenants page to drill into the tenant detail page. The tenant detail page displays Power BI workspace detail including its members, datasets, and reports. The App Owns Data multi-tenant application can also embed reports. On the tenant page, I click the Embed button for Aviv 1 tenant to navigate to the Embed page, where I can see a page with an embedded report for Aviv 1 tenant. When I click the Embed button for David 1 tenant, I can see that the application is able to embed a report from any customer tenant. When a user navigates to the Embed page for a customer tenant, the application must determine which service principal profile was used to create the target workspace. The application performs a lookup in the App Owns Data multi-tenant DB database to determine which service principal profile ID is associated with the target workspace. The application is then able to query for workspace artifacts and to generate the embed token using that service principal profile's identity. If you're curious about what's been created in Power BI, you can see it by navigating to the Power BI service portal, and you should be able to see and navigate to any of the Power BI workspaces that have been created by the App Owns Data multi-tenant application. When I navigate to Workspace Aviv 1 and I click on the Workspace Access pane, I can see two members including my user account, Sabri, and a service principal profile. When I drill into the setting page for the dataset named Sales, I can verify that the sales dataset has been configured by a service principal profile, which is evidenced by the service principal profile object ID that you can see. With that, we conclude the App Owns Data multi-tenant application demo, and I hope it has allowed you to get an impression of the new multi-tenancy design option based on service principal profiles we've introduced a few weeks ago. To conclude this session, we're providing you with links to our developer samples, documented APIs, Power BI Embedded Playground, Embed Setup Tool, and more. As always, we encourage you to provide feedback at Power BI IDs. See the link at the bottom of the page. And if you ask yourself, what is the best way to get updates and help? Power BI developers' periodic blog posts present all the new features and updates. Stack Overflow will get you help from the developers community, and in their own words, for developers, by developers. That's all, folks. I would like to thank you for watching this session. Feel free to send me questions and I will try to respond them all. Ciao!